is not the vehicle to do so, and this bill will not have the support of the National Party. Very good speech.
I call the Honourable Willie Jackson.
What a shocking speech. What a shocking speech. And if the Māori Party didn't realise it when they were in, Mr Speaker, they should realise it now, that it's all double talk from this National Party who purport to support Māori and then betray Māori at the first opportunity that they have. What a shocking speech. Poor old Tūrero Flavel, Mr Speaker, brought the same bill forward. They were all told, we love you Maoris, we love you, and then they betrayed them. That old fork tongue over there, you know. Mr Speaker, one of the reasons why we need Māori seats is because of that very Speaker. Could you imagine Nick Smith representing Ngaitahu? Oh, God! Could you imagine Nick Smith representing Ngaitahu? That's the point, Mr Smith. We need Māori to represent our own interests. Otherwise, we're dependent on you. And that's my apologies, Mr Speaker. My apologies. So this is the National Party line. We can advocate for you. We can represent you, just like the Honourable Chris Finlayson did with the dirty, rotten Turu Whenua bill. And who represented our interests there? Tāmati Coffee. Tāmati Coffee. And if it wasn't for Tāmati Coffee, who would we have had to rely on in national? What's his name? Todd McLean. What does Todd McLean know about the Turu Whenua bill? That's the problem, National Party. That's the problem. We need our MPs to represent our interests. Otherwise, it's Nick, Todd, and if we go to the north, it might be Mark Mitchell. Oh, God, it gets worse. It gets worse. So we've got problems in the north with the Ngāpuhis, Mr Speaker. They're always in deliberations and negotiations. Tau patu patu, we say in Te Reo Māori. And so you need cool heads, you need calm heads. You need someone like Calvin Davis to walk us through. You said Mark there. I said, Mark, who are you? Who are you? You see, that's the problem. Māori representatives advocate Māori aspirations. Why does the National Party not get that, Mr Speaker? Why don't they get there? They don't get that, Mr Speaker, because they're too stupid. That's why. And they have spent years and years conning Māori about how much they love them. So much so that, and then they promote the odd one, like our dear friend Nook, who's on the wrong side. He knows it. He knows he's on the wrong side. He should be with the Māori Labour caucus. And poor old Nook, he tries and does his bit there with the National Party, but they shut him down and they go, you'll get your opportunity. But Nook, you should be advocating for this.
Can I remind the member to use members' full names?
Yes. Apologies to the member, Nook Korako. But I do say today that this is such an important part for us. And so I implore my friends in New Zealand First to support us. And Mr Speaker, the great Shane Jones, I know, is very proud of his taha Māori side, of Jenny Markroft, and of course the wonderful Winston Peters, who played for the Auckland Māori rugby side and was the former Minister of Māori Affairs. So I implore my New Zealand First friends and whanaunga to support this bill that celebrates mana, that celebrates the partnership between Māori and Pākehā. And we have the odd disagreement, but on most things we agree. And this bill should go forward so we can have the debate about why National has been so traitorous to Māori, and the debate about the substance of the Māori seats and the MPs who do a great job. I celebrate them here today, Mr Speaker. Tāmati Coffee and Rino Tirikatene over there, who's doing a fantastic job. Nanaia Mahuta. Who else could advocate Tainui interests other than Nanaia Mahuta? You know, you ask yourself with respect to the Pākehā MPs there, only Nanaia could advocate those interests. I celebrate Rino Tirikātane and others who have advocated for this before, and I ask the House to support this bill. Kia ora tātou.
Kia ora. Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Chris Finlayson.
What a scrambled speech from a hopeless minister.